Captain Emma Carter was just another commercial pilot flying 312 passengers, until a deadly cyber attack struck at 38,000 feet. When F-22 fighters scrambled and she revealed her true identity on the radio, two words made veteran pilots freeze in shock: Ghost Rider. The legend had returned. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Captain Emma Carter checked the weather display on her Boeing 767 as morning light painted the clouds below in shades of gold and pink. 312 passengers sat behind her, reading newspapers, watching movies, or sleeping peacefully. They had no idea that the woman flying them from Dallas to Boston had once been called the best combat pilot the Air Force had ever seen. Emma adjusted her headset and glanced at her first officer, Tom Richards, a cheerful young man who chatted about his upcoming vacation. He treated her like any other senior captain, respectful but casual. He had no clue that Emma's hands had once controlled an F-16 Fighting Falcon through enemy territory so dangerous that other pilots refused the missions. That was 15 years ago. Now Emma lived a quiet life, flying commercial routes and going home to her apartment where nobody asked questions about her past. She liked it that way. The airline knew her as a former Air Force pilot, but her file showed nothing special. Just standard training, normal progression, and solid performance reviews. What they didn't know was that Emma Carter had been Ghost Rider for 8 years of active combat duty. Her call sign wasn't given as a joke like most pilot nicknames. She earned it on her 5th mission when she flew so low and so perfectly through a mountain valley that enemy radar never saw her coming. She destroyed 3 targets and vanished before they even knew she was there. After that, the name stuck. Ghost Rider. The pilot who appeared from nowhere, completed impossible missions, and disappeared like smoke. Young pilots treated her like a legend. Older pilots spoke her name with respect mixed with fear. She had flown missions that remained classified, done things that would never be discussed outside secure briefing rooms. But Emma had walked away from all of it 15 years ago after one final mission that still haunted her dreams. A mission where she made choices that saved lives but cost her something deep inside. The Air Force had let her go quietly, scrubbing her records clean of anything that might draw attention. She became just another commercial pilot with military experience. Emma liked the peace of commercial flying. The biggest stress was weather delays or drunk passengers. No surface-to-air missiles. No dogfights. No split-second decisions between bad options and worse ones. Just smooth flights, polite passengers, and predictable schedules. Flight 447, this is Houston Center, the air traffic controller's voice crackled through her headset. Traffic alert, multiple aircraft in your area reporting unusual system behavior. Please monitor your instruments carefully. Emma's instincts sharpened immediately. Something in the controller's tone felt wrong. Too careful, too measured. Tom didn't seem to notice, but Emma had heard that tone before in combat situations when controllers were trying not to cause panic. Houston Center, Flight 447 copies. All systems normal at this time, Emma replied professionally. She scanned her instruments more carefully now. Everything looked fine. Engines running perfectly. Fuel flow normal. Hydraulics good, pressurization steady. But her gut told her something was coming. 15 minutes later, Tom suddenly grabbed his chest and gasped. Tom. Emma's hand shot to his shoulder. What's wrong? Can't breathe. Tom's face went pale. His hands fumbled at his collar. Emma's training kicked in instantly. She hit the call button for the senior flight attendant while her eyes scanned the cabin pressure gauge. It read normal. But Tom was clearly in distress. This is Captain Carter. I need medical assistance in the cockpit immediately. First officer is having difficulty breathing. Emma pulled out the emergency oxygen mask and pressed it to Tom's face. He gulped at it desperately. Within seconds, the senior flight attendant, Maria, appeared at the cockpit door. Captain, we have a problem. 6 passengers just collapsed. All in different sections. And more are complaining of headaches and dizziness. Emma's blood went cold. 6 passengers, different sections, Tom struggling to breathe, and the pressure gauge still reading normal. Her combat instincts screamed the truth immediately. The pressurization system was failing in a way that wasn't showing up on the instruments. They were at 38,000 feet where the air was too thin to breathe. If the cabin wasn't pressurized properly, everyone on board would lose consciousness within minutes. Maria, tell the other flight attendants to put on their oxygen masks immediately. Tell any passengers who are feeling dizzy to use their oxygen masks. Do it now. Emma didn't wait for air traffic control clearance. Every second at this altitude was killing her passengers. She disconnected the autopilot, grabbed the controls, and pushed the nose down. Houston Center, Flight 447 declaring an emergency, rapid decompression, descending immediately to 10,000 feet. The controller's response was instant. Flight 447, emergency declared. Cleared to descend. All traffic moving clear of your path. Emma pushed the 767 into a dive that would have terrified any passenger who was still conscious. The altimeter numbers spun downward. 35,000.30,000.25,000. The aircraft shook from the speed and the aggressive angle. Behind her, passengers who could still think clearly were screaming. The flight attendants were struggling to get oxygen masks on people who had passed out. Tom was semi-conscious beside her, still breathing through his emergency mask. Emma kept the dive going. 20,000.15,000. At 10,000 feet, the outside air pressure was safe enough to breathe even if the cabin pressurization failed completely. She leveled off smoothly and immediately checked on Tom. Tom, can you hear me? He nodded weakly, the oxygen mask still pressed to his face. His color was returning slowly. Emma called Maria again. Status report. Captain, everyone's breathing again. The passengers who collapsed are waking up. A lot of scared people back here, but I think everyone's going to be okay. Emma allowed herself one deep breath of relief. Then her mind started analyzing the bigger picture. The air traffic controller had mentioned multiple aircraft having problems. Tom and the passengers had all been affected simultaneously. The pressure gauge had lied to her. This wasn't a mechanical failure. This was something else. Houston Center, Flight 447. Emergency descent complete. Level at 10,000. First officer and multiple passengers affected by hypoxia. All recovering now, requesting immediate diversion to nearest suitable airport. Flight 447, Houston Center. Understand. We're showing San Antonio International as closest suitable field. However, be advised we have a developing situation. Multiple aircraft experiencing similar issues. Military coordination is active on this frequency. Stand by. Emma's stomach tightened. Military coordination, multiple aircraft, similar issues. Then she heard something that made her hands grip the controls harder. Attention all aircraft on this frequency. This is Sentry Control. We have possible hostile interference with commercial aircraft systems. Repeat, possible hostile interference. All aircraft exercise extreme caution. Military assets are responding. Hostile interference. Someone was attacking commercial airliners. Emma's mind shifted instantly into combat mode. She wasn't just a commercial pilot anymore. She was Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider knew how to handle threats. Houston Center, Flight 447. I'm proceeding direct San Antonio. Request you coordinate with Sentry Control for tactical support if this situation escalates. There was a pause on the radio. Then a different voice came through, military, crisp, and all business. Flight 447, this is Sentry Control. Confirm you are requesting tactical coordination. Emma made a decision that would change everything. She switched to a military frequency she hadn't used in 15 years. A frequency that civilian pilots didn't even know existed. Sentry Control, this is Flight 447. I'm declaring command authority and requesting tactical assessment of my situation. I have 312 passengers and crew aboard. Someone just tried to kill us all. Flight 447, Sentry Control. Authenticate command authority. Who is in command of your aircraft? Emma hesitated for just a moment. Once she said it, there was no going back. Her quiet life would be over. Sentry Control, this is Ghost Rider. Authentication code Delta Whiskey 77 Tango. The radio went silent for 3 full seconds. Then a new voice came through, younger, shocked, and filled with something like awe. Say again your call sign. Ghost Rider, authentication Delta Whiskey 77 Tango. Now tell me what's happening to my aircraft and what threats I'm facing. Another pause. Then, Ghost Rider, this is Razor 21. I'm in an F-22 about 40 miles from your position. Did you just say Ghost Rider? That's affirmative, Razor 21. And I need tactical information immediately. Ma'am, everyone in the Air Force knows about Ghost Rider. They teach your missions in fighter school. I can't believe. The pilot caught himself. Razor 21 and 22 moving to escort position. Sentry Control, recommend we treat this aircraft as high-value asset. Emma felt the years fall away. She was back in her element now, coordinating with fighter pilots and thinking tactically. Razor 21, Ghost Rider. Appreciate the escort. I need to know what we're dealing with. My aircraft lost pressurization in a way that didn't trigger warnings. Multiple other aircraft affected. What's the threat assessment? The F-22 pilot's voice turned serious. Ghost Rider, preliminary analysis suggests cyber attack on commercial aircraft systems. Someone figured out how to remotely interfere with environmental controls. 7 aircraft affected so far. 2 crashed. Emma's jaw tightened. 2 crashed. People dead. Razor 21, understood. I'm diverting to San Antonio. First officer is incapacitated. I'm single pilot right now with 312 souls on board. Ghost Rider, Razor 21. We're with you all the way to landing. You're not flying alone. Sentry Control is coordinating full emergency response at San Antonio. They're clearing the field for you. Tom was recovering enough to look at Emma with confusion. Captain, why are you talking on military frequencies? And what's Ghost Rider? Emma glanced at him. Long story, Tom. Right now, I need you to monitor the instruments and let me know if anything else starts acting weird. Can you do that? He nodded, still looking bewildered. Emma made an announcement to the passengers, keeping her voice calm and steady. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Carter. We experienced a pressurization problem that required an emergency descent. Everyone is safe now. We're diverting to San Antonio where medical personnel will check on anyone who needs it. The aircraft is flying normally now, and will be on the ground in about 30 minutes. Please remain calm and follow the flight attendant's instructions. What she didn't tell them was that fighter jets were now flanking her aircraft, or that someone had just tried to murder everyone on board through a cyber attack. Ghost Rider, Razor 21. We have you visual. You've got 2 Raptors on your wings now. Nobody's touching this aircraft. Emma felt a surge of gratitude. Razor 21, Ghost Rider. Thank you. What's the tactical picture? Are there hostile aircraft in the area? Negative, Ghost Rider. Threat appears to be ground-based cyber attack. Intelligence agencies are hunting for the source now. But we're maintaining escort in case the situation changes. Emma started setting up her approach to San Antonio. Tom was helping now, though he kept staring at her like he'd never seen her before. Captain Carter. I mean. Ghost Rider, who are you really? Tom asked quietly. I'm a pilot, Tom. Just like you. I just have some additional experience I don't usually talk about. Ghost Rider isn't just a call sign, is it? The way those F-22 pilots reacted. No, Tom. It's not just a call sign. The approach to San Antonio was unlike any commercial approach Emma had flown in 15 years. The F-22s stayed in close formation, their sleek gray shapes visible through the cockpit windows. The tower had cleared all other traffic. Emergency vehicles lined the runway. Emma could see military vehicles mixed in with the normal airport equipment. She flew the approach manually, her hands steady on the controls. The 767 touched down smoothly despite the crosswind. As they rolled out, Tom handled the radio calls while Emma followed the ground controller's instructions to taxi to an isolated area away from the terminal. When the engines finally shut down, Emma sat back and let herself breathe. 312 people were alive because she had recognized the threat quickly and acted decisively. But now came the hard part. Maria opened the cockpit door. Captain, the passengers are asking questions. And there are a lot of official-looking people outside. Emma unbuckled and stood up. I know, Maria. Tell the passengers they'll be deplaned shortly and medical personnel will check everyone. Thank you for your help back there. You probably saved lives. As Emma walked through the cabin, passengers called out to her. Some thanked her. Some asked what happened. She smiled and reassured them, but kept moving. She could see through the windows that military personnel were surrounding the aircraft. The moment Emma stepped out of the aircraft, a man in an Air Force colonel's uniform approached. He saluted sharply. Captain Carter. I'm Colonel Bradley. Welcome back to military aviation, Ghost Rider. Emma returned the salute. Colonel. I'm not back in military aviation. I'm a commercial pilot who happened to have some useful training. Ma'am, the moment you used that call sign, things changed. The general wants to talk to you. The F-22 pilots are asking to meet you. And the media is about to discover that the legendary Ghost Rider just saved 300 passengers from a terrorist cyber attack. Emma closed her eyes briefly. There it was. Her quiet life was over. Let me take care of my passengers first, Colonel. Of course, ma'am. But then we need your help. 2 aircraft crashed before their pilots recognized the threat. You figured it out in time and saved everyone. We need to understand how you did that. Over the next several hours, Emma gave statements to investigators, briefed military intelligence on exactly what had happened to her aircraft, and coordinated care for her passengers. The F-22 pilots, 2 young men with call signs Razor and Blade, waited patiently for a chance to talk to her. When she finally met them, they both looked starstruck. Ma'am, this is an honor, Razor said. We've studied your missions in advanced tactical training. The Valley Run in the Karbala operation. The Triple Sam evasion over the Straits. Those are legendary. Emma felt uncomfortable. That was a long time ago. Different life. But you're still Ghost Rider, Blade said. What you did today, recognizing that attack and saving your passengers, that's the same instinct and skill. You can't turn that off. They were right, and Emma knew it. She had tried to turn it off for 15 years, but when the crisis came, Ghost Rider had emerged immediately. The investigation revealed that a sophisticated hacker group had exploited vulnerabilities in aircraft communication systems. They had sent malicious code that slowly disabled pressurization controls, causing the failures that looked like mechanical problems. Emma's military training had let her recognize the pattern that civilian pilots missed. The media found out within days. Commercial pilot revealed as legendary fighter ace, the headlines screamed. Ghost Rider saves 312 passengers. Emma's airline was shocked to discover the quiet captain they'd employed for 15 years was actually one of the most decorated combat pilots in Air Force history. Emma's fellow pilots looked at her differently now. Some with awe, some with confusion. Her peaceful anonymity was destroyed. The airline called her in for a meeting. Emma expected trouble, but instead, the CEO thanked her. "Captain Carter, you saved 312 lives and prevented what could have been a major disaster. Your military background is an asset, not a problem. We're proud to have you." But Emma had a decision to make. The Air Force wanted her back as an instructor. The airline wanted her to stay. The media wanted interviews. Everyone wanted a piece of Ghost Rider. Emma stood in her apartment that evening, looking at an old photo from her fighter pilot days. Young, confident, ready to take on the world. She had walked away from that person, thinking she could be someone else. The emergency had proven she couldn't escape who she really was. Her phone rang. It was Colonel Bradley. "Captain Carter, I have a proposal. The Air Force wants to create a new program training commercial pilots in threat recognition and emergency procedures. We want someone who understands both commercial aviation and combat tactics. We want you." "Colonel, I don't want to go back to active duty." "You wouldn't be active duty. You'd keep your airline job. But you'd help us train pilots to recognize threats like the one you faced. Part-time consulting. You'd be saving lives, Emma. Just like you always have." Emma thought about the passengers she'd saved. About Tom's confused face when he heard her call sign. About the F-22 pilots who looked at her with such respect. "I need some time to think, Colonel." "Take all the time you need, Ghost Rider. But remember, legends don't retire. They just find new ways to serve." Emma hung up and made herself tea. She thought about who she was and who she tried to become. Captain Emma Carter, quiet commercial pilot. Ghost Rider, legendary fighter ace. Maybe they weren't separate people. Maybe they never had been. 3 weeks later, Emma returned to flying her regular routes. But now passengers recognized her. Young people asked for autographs. Parents told their children she was a hero. Emma handled it with grace, but she was still adjusting. Her first officer on her next flight was a woman named Jessica who treated her with obvious respect bordering on nervousness. "Captain Carter. I mean, Ghost Rider. I mean." Jessica stumbled over the words. "Just call me Emma," she said gently. "I'm the same pilot I was before. Just with a more interesting background than you knew. I read about what you did. In the military, I mean. And saving those passengers. It's inspiring." Emma smiled. "Thank you. Now let's focus on giving our passengers today a smooth, boring flight. Boring is good in aviation." The flight was indeed smooth and boring, which was exactly how Emma liked it. But she knew that if another crisis came, if her passengers needed her, Ghost Rider would be there. She couldn't separate herself from that identity anymore because it was who she truly was. She had spent 15 years trying to be ordinary. The emergency had proven she never could be. Emma had accepted a consulting position with the Air Force, working part-time to develop new training programs. She would keep flying commercially because she genuinely enjoyed it. But she would also help train the next generation of pilots to recognize threats and think tactically when crisis struck. As her 767 cruised through clear evening skies, Emma thought about the strange path her life had taken. From fighter pilot to commercial captain to reluctant legend. She had tried to leave Ghost Rider behind, but that identity had saved 312 lives when it mattered most. The passengers behind her were reading, sleeping, and watching movies, trusting her to keep them safe. They didn't need to know about the combat missions or the classified operations. They just needed to know that the woman flying their plane had the skill and courage to protect them in any situation. Emma glanced at Jessica, who was handling the radio communications competently. "You're doing great," Emma said. Jessica smiled. "Thanks. Can I ask you something?" "Sure." Do you miss it? The fighter jets and combat flying? Emma considered the question carefully. Sometimes I miss the flying itself. The pure skill of it. But I don't miss the stress or the danger. This is better. Taking people safely from one city to another. That's a good mission too. Even though it's not as exciting. Jessica, I had enough excitement to last a lifetime. These days, I'm happy with boring flights and passengers who arrive safely. That's its own kind of victory. As the sun set behind them, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Emma felt at peace for the first time since the emergency. She was Ghost Rider, yes. But she was also Captain Emma Carter, commercial pilot. Both identities could exist together. She had saved 312 lives not because she was in a fighter jet, but because she was a pilot who had trained herself to excellence in every situation. That training transferred perfectly well to commercial aviation when crisis demanded it. The F-22 pilots had understood immediately. Her airline understood. Even the passengers understood, in their own way. Emma was who she had always been, someone who appeared when needed and did what others thought impossible. The aircraft type didn't matter. The uniform didn't matter. What mattered was the pilot behind the controls and the commitment to protecting every life in her care. Ghost Rider wasn't just a call sign from her past. It was who she would always be, whether flying a fighter jet through combat zones or a passenger jet through peaceful skies. Ready for anything, prepared for everything. The radio crackled. Flight 615, this is Boston Center. You're cleared for approach. Emma clicked the transmit button. Boston Center, Flight 615. Cleared for approach. She began the descent, her hands steady on the controls. 308 passengers behind her, trusting her to bring them home safely. It was a responsibility she would never take lightly. Ghost Rider was back. Not in combat. Not in crisis. Just doing what she had always done best, flying with skill, courage, and an unwavering commitment to the mission. And sometimes, that mission was as simple as bringing people home to their families. That was enough. That was everything. Emma stood in front of 200 military and commercial pilots at the Air Force Training Center. Her chest displayed both her airline wings and her old Air Force medals that she had kept hidden in a drawer for 15 years. The threat you face today isn't just mechanical failure, she told the room full of attentive faces. It's cyber warfare. It's attacks you can't see coming until people start dying. What saved my passengers wasn't my fighter pilot training. It was the instinct to question what the instruments were telling me. A young commercial pilot raised his hand. Captain Carter, how do we develop those instincts? Emma smiled. By staying humble. By remembering that computers can be wrong. By trusting your gut when something feels off. I tell every pilot I train now, your best instrument is right here. She tapped her temple. Your brain, your experience, your instincts. After the briefing, a teenage girl approached her nervously. Captain Carter. I was on your flight. Flight 447. I was 12 years old. I remember being scared and then you came on the speaker and your voice was so calm. You saved my life that day. Emma felt her throat tighten. What's your name? Riley. Riley Chen. And because of you, I'm applying to the Air Force Academy. I want to be a pilot. Like you. Emma looked at this brave young woman and saw herself 25 years ago, full of dreams and determination. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small metal coin. It was the challenge coin the F-22 pilots had given her after the emergency, engraved with her call sign. Riley, I want you to have this. It's called a challenge coin. It means you're part of something bigger than yourself. When you get into that academy, and you will, remember that being a great pilot isn't about being fearless. It's about being afraid and flying anyway. Riley's eyes filled with tears as she clutched the coin. I'll make you proud, Captain. You already have. That evening, Emma flew her regular route from Boston to Seattle. Jessica was her first officer again. As they cruised at 35,000 feet, the radio crackled. Any aircraft on this frequency, this is Air Force Rescue. We have a situation. Small aircraft down in the mountains of Colorado, pilot and 2 children on board. Weather is deteriorating fast. We need guidance from anyone familiar with mountain rescue operations. Emma and Jessica exchanged glances. Jessica grinned. You know what you have to do. Emma smiled and keyed the mic. Air Force Rescue, this is Captain Emma Carter, formerly Ghost Rider. I have mountain combat flight experience. What do you need? The rescue coordinator's voice brightened immediately. Ghost Rider. Ma'am, we need everything you know about flying in mountain weather. Lives are depending on it. For the next 30 minutes, while Jessica flew the commercial jet, Emma coordinated with the rescue team. She drew on her memory of missions in Afghanistan, flying through mountain passes in impossible weather. She described approach angles, wind patterns, and tactical maneuvers that only someone with her experience would know. Finally, the rescue coordinator came back on. Ghost Rider, we got them. All 3 alive. Your guidance was perfect. Those rescue pilots said you just saved 3 lives from the comfort of a commercial cockpit. Emma felt warmth spread through her chest. This was why she was meant to be exactly who she was. Not hiding. Not pretending. Just being Ghost Rider whenever someone needed her. Jessica wiped tears from her eyes. That was amazing. That was what we do, Emma said quietly. We help people. Whether we're flying them across the country or talking rescue pilots through a mountain mission. It's all the same. It's all about bringing people home. As they began their descent into Seattle, Emma thought about the journey she'd been on. From trying to hide her past to embracing it fully. From running from Ghost Rider to accepting that the legend and the woman were the same person. Her phone had dozens of messages. Interview requests, speaking invitations, but also messages from young pilots asking for advice, parents thanking her. And one message from Colonel Bradley. Emma, you're changing aviation culture. Pilots are being trained better because of you. Lives are being saved because you stopped hiding. Thank you for being who you are. Colonel Bradley. Emma landed the 767 smoothly. As passengers deplaned, several recognized her and thanked her for the flight. One elderly man gripped her hand. My granddaughter wants to be a pilot because of you, he said. She says if Ghost Rider can do it, so can she. Thank you for being a hero. Emma walked through the terminal toward her hotel, thinking about Riley Chen with her challenge coin, about the rescued family in Colorado, about all the pilots she was training. She had tried to stop being Ghost Rider. But Ghost Rider was never just a call sign. It was a commitment. A promise to use every skill, every ounce of courage, every bit of knowledge to protect people who needed her. She couldn't stop being that person any more than she could stop breathing. Emma smiled as she stepped into the cool Seattle evening. Tomorrow she'd fly again. Next week she'd train more pilots. Next month she'd give another speech. And somewhere, sometime, when crisis came and people needed someone extraordinary, Ghost Rider would be there. Because legends don't retire. They just keep flying.